If you're over 50 and you really want to master how to apply a red lip, it's all about age positivity, and I'm going to give you the guide of picking the right shade and the right finish. So we're going to start with the eyes. We've curled Kate's lashes, and when you're pairing an eye with a red or burgundy or just colourful lip, I think it's really key to keep the eyes quite chic, quite minimalist. So we're using the mascara and going to add a few thin layers. If you're focusing on the lip, especially with mature age, think, oh, I don't need much on the eyes, leave it. You still need, I think, enough definition that your eyes are quite elongated. And as we do age, unfortunately, this bone here tends to kind of come forward. So we need to make sure that we put shadow in the right spots and just want to look as fresh and defined as possible. If you start to add mascara to the center, you're dragging the face down. So you almost want to elongate across the bottom lash line and drag the eye out rather than creating the attention of dragging it down. So once you've got the brush, you apply it in almost like a fan-like to the outer sides, outer corners. So for mature age skin prep, I really like to use a really good massage and moisturizer, but spritzes and sprays are like your best friend. I think they rejuvenate makeup, and you can use them as if you were doing your skincare in between steps. It really creates hydration and leaves the skin looking beautiful and radiant. So some products that are really achievable to create that radiance is the True Match L'Oreal Serum. I love this because it's tinted, it's got the skincare benefit, the hyaluronic acid, and also this Revlon skin caring foundation. They're both just lightweight. They can create a nice illumination, but then go in with your concealer to get more mattified in certain areas. Make sure that you prime the whole face, as our pores can tend to get a little more enlarged as we get older, and often, sadly as it is, I've got them myself, it's your first signs of aging is when your pores start to open. So we just want to obviously get rid of that. A good way to do it is pop on a pore minimizer primer into these areas here, often our chin and in the T-zone. And then another thing is, if you don't have a primer on hand, it's going back to that old makeup artist in me, where just dust on at least a little bit for really finely cut powder, and then add your foundation or concealers on top, but leave it for a little while. What we're going to do is similar with the lips. So make sure that you've done a lip mask. If you know you've got something on the next day, really have them hydrated. However, when you need to apply that lipstick, you don't want them too hydrated or it just slides right off. Another thing before I do a red lip is I even like to do a contour before and then apply the red on top. You can use obviously a bronzer, how we have many times before, or just a creamy bronzer with a small brush and apply it that way. And I'm just going to add it to kind of the center here, almost like think of a love heart in the middle of your lips. And we're going to add that fullness there. Kate's got such beautiful lip shape, so just going ever so slightly above and then buffing that. So we're going to add the Maybelline Dancer lip shade, and what this is, it's quite matte. I think if you've prepped the lips correctly and you've used a nice pore minimizer, something like this that's creamy yet matte, long lasting, really works and looks quite beautiful on the lip. So just going in with a brush, but if you find it easier to use this applicator, it is shaped in the way to kind of go to the Cupid's bow. So I think mastering when you're going to do a red lip is finding the color, and also finding the finish of what red you want. So is it glossy, is it matte, is it satin, is it long wear? And I think you don't want to be mid-sentence talking to someone and there's blotches, or so I like to go, the harder it is to get off, I probably would suggest the more long wear it is and the better it is if you've got an event. As much as it's dehydrating on your lips, it's not going to move. This right here is a Maybelline Superstay lip product, and with this you can see it almost goes on quite glossy. You can tell it's not moving around, it's there to stay. It's really for a long wear, so if you're going to an event, a wedding, a red carpet, this kind of product will not move. This product is also quite a good pigment, so you can see it is a little more sheer than something like a liquid lipstick, but this also, you can layer it and layer it, and it doesn't tend to get too much product on your lip, whereas this one has I almost say 2-3 applications, and you need to almost take it off and start again. So if you're really scared and the lipstick just throws you off altogether, you can do what a lot of us artists do, and we actually apply a lip liner to your whole lip. You will see though, it probably takes a little longer to build up in comparison to a lipstick. But these two could go really well together if you're just wanting a nice sharp lip with beautiful skin. Okay, so we're going to then go for a really traditional lipstick, and you can see when you apply that, it's quite transparent. It's almost like your lip, you really could build it up, but it's going to move. It's quite nourishing, so it feels really beautiful on the lip, but just keep in mind it can transfer a little easier unless you mattify it with a little powder. If you don't know if you're warm or cool undertone, typically what would you go for if you could only choose a pink or an orange lipstick? And that's how you work it out. The orange is the warmth, the pink is the cool, and even the way we dress, our foundation, if you're more drawn to that orange, it's more warm. So for example, Kate is more drawn to the warm undertone, and that's what we've applied. If you're very fair and you're more drawn to the pink, that would be like almost like a blue lipstick, very red lipstick that suits fair skin. So if everything else fails, just think of which lipstick you would go to, a pink or an orange. So one tip as a pro makeup artist that I have to tell everyone, and I see it so often, is most people really get the complexion, the lipstick, and then they walk out the door and you do feel really good, but when you take photos, what's missing compared to when I get my makeup done? I would have to say it's the sculpting of the face, the contours of the face that you miss. So before you leave, a good way to test it is take a photo of yourself and see, but I would definitely say to skim across the hairline, back into the eye here and just almost lifting, and hug the cheekbone around this area. Dust it over if you're not going for a blush, just around these areas, the jawline, you know, often down the neck. Depending on the color you've used, select the bronzer on the same family. So if you're cool, go for a cool bronzer. If it's warm, go for a warm bronzer. So this section here, so if you look at your eye and the lowest point of your eye, around here, we should not be going any closer in unless you're doing a blushed kind of look, but I would say stay away from that, because what you tend to do is drag the face down. So keeping the natural contours and cheeks around this area and up into the hairline, almost even back into the eye socket. Don't forget our old school technique of what we've done since we were 20 of back forth windscreen wipers. Really doesn't work as you get older, because what you're doing is this socket here, you're just going over it and over it again. So you can have fun with bronzers, small brushes, and almost trick the eye into it being a different kind of angled socket. So just be really mindful of where you place your bronzer. And overall, I've got to say, Kate looks amazing. Not a day over 20, you look beautiful. And it's such a wearable, easy look to achieve at home.